So welcome everyone to the info session for the Master's of Science degree in Executive Coaching and Organizational Consulting here at NYU. I'm really excited to share today what we're doing with the program and then the opportunities, hopefully for you as prospective students to join us in the fall. So let me give you just a little bit of background about NYU, for those of you who don't know us. We were founded in 1831. We are one of the largest private universities in the US. We have campuses globally in 13 different locations, and we have about 50,000 students worldwide. So we are a large global player. Right now, as you would expect, as most universities, we are fully remote. I'd say about 99% of our course offerings right now did move to remote offerings. That happened back on March 10th. It was something that I was proud to be part of, and it was something that was a very impressive move for the university to do. And it's gone actually quite well for us. We do intend to reopen in person in some form in the fall. Not totally sure what that'll look like, and a lot of that will be dictated by Governor Cuomo, as most of you have probably been following. His very colorful commentary on what's happening and his leadership on getting us back safely. So we will be abiding by whatever guidelines do come out. Just wanted to make sure you knew and understood that. So we are in the School of Professional Studies, which was founded in 1934. As you can see in the top little corner, we have our 85th anniversary logo. Last year was our 85th anniversary, and we were very excited about our long tenure in providing cutting-edge education for industry. And we have always been an evolving school, trying to make sure that we are meeting the demands of business and industry. We are housed within the Division of Programs in Business, which is a portfolio of business-oriented programs. And our program specifically is called ECOC, is what you'll hear me refer to it as, which is Executive Coaching in Organizational Consulting. Back in the social era of humanity, when we could all physically be together, which hopefully is coming back soon, we did gather at 3 different locations in Manhattan that we have. So on the top right there, you have the famous and historic Woolworth Tower, where we have classrooms. Down to the left, we have the iconic Washington Square, which a lot of people affiliate with NYU is really our sort of main core campus. And then to the right is where my office is, and I believe it's still there from the best I can tell. Back up in the top little right-hand corner behind those trees, we have a lot of classrooms and offices at Bryant Park, which for those of you who may not know, Bryant Park is just 2 blocks from Times Square. So we're really in the heart of Manhattan. And hopefully I'll be seeing you guys and my colleagues there at some point in the near future, but that's where our main locations are. So speaking of locations, before the pandemic, we actually were designed to be both in person and online. We still are going to be launching remotely, probably in the fall, but we were actually designed to have both in-person and online offerings. So whatever challenges with reopening come with this pandemic, we are still going to be launching as scheduled. We may be more remotely oriented than in person, depending on guidelines, but it is not making any changes for us as far as schedule and getting the program launched. So one of the great advantages that we have at NYU. Also, the vast majority of our students out of the School of Professional Studies do get employment within 6 months, and more than half of those students end up getting multiple offers. It's something we're very proud of because we are oriented towards educating you to be prepared for industry and wherever the current industry is and what their needs are. We have an incredibly diverse student community from around the world, which is partly due to having 14 global campuses, as well as our online offerings. One of the things that's important to us is that you don't just hear from me or just our core faculty. We do have a lot of adjunct faculty who are primarily practitioners in business. For us, it's coaches and consultants, most of them very well known in the industry, to make sure that you get exposure to professionals who are out there who are doing the work that we're training you and educating you on also. So we want to make sure you get a diversity of exposure, which is important. And as I mentioned, we are certainly a global university. So let's go ahead and get into it. I want to talk to you about a little bit about the program and our philosophy, and then we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty around student experience and admissions. So first, our team. This is our core faculty. So Dr. Anna Tavis is our academic director, and she has a portfolio of programs. ECOC is one of them. She also has a human capital analytics and technology program, as well as a traditional human resource master's degree program. So we're part of a portfolio of 3 programs. I'm right there in my red chair. I think my hair was a little shorter back then and slightly less gray. I am the lead professor for the coaching program, and I'm also going to be one of the primary instructors in the program. Right next to me, we have Warren Dodge. He's one of the original architects of the program, primarily on the consulting side, which I'll get into in a little bit. He had a long career, I believe nearly 30 years, as a senior partner at Accenture, one of the largest global consultancies. And he's also going to be an adjunct professor in the program, teaching our business strategy course. And then last but not least, my colleague, we actually used to share an office together back, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. Mike Valentine actually is the lead professor for our human resource management degree programs. He's also a highly experienced and certified executive coach and a former head of HR for the New York Times. So he will also be teaching in our program as well. So of course, it takes a team. And a number of these folks you will hear from today on this Zoom call. But we have a fantastic administrative team who does a lot of the behind the scenes work. Some of them, like I said, you will be reaching out to and interacting with. You will hear from Nicole Howe, our Assistant Director of Graduate Programs today. She's going to talk a little bit about student experience. Any of you in the future, if you do have questions and throughout your time as a student, if you decide to enroll with us, you will be talking to Corey Faraday. He's our advisor and has great advice. He unfortunately couldn't join us today. Ashley is always helpful. She helped set this up today, and she's always behind the scenes getting us up and running and making sure things are seamless. So you probably got some notes from her. And then at the very end, Ashley Sinha, who of course is our admissions gatekeeper, she will talk to you a little bit about the admissions process toward the end, and will always make herself available for any kind of questions. So where are we going? What are we about as a program? So we are going to be the first in the nation to launch a Master of Science degree at a major university in executive coaching and organizational consulting. So this is something that is a pioneering experience. It's something that we are very excited about at NYU, and I can tell you firsthand, the coaching community is also very excited about us doing this, us really taking training in the field of coaching and consulting and ratcheting up to the academic level. Our vision is to be more than just a program. We want to be a premier center for excellence. We want to make sure that we are exposing you to the latest technology. We are setting a new professional standard as the first academic program from a major university. We want to make sure that we build a platform for you to continue learning throughout your career and stay in touch with us. One thing I will tell you is once you graduate, we're not going to let you go. We want to make sure that we continue to stay in touch with our alumni and continue to build our base. It's very important for us. It's critical that we, just as any entity, institutional organization, have a North Star, a philosophy that guides us. And for us, it is primarily about being founded in science and evidence-based practice. We do believe that one of the most important core learning you will have here is a grounding in the science of human performance and in the research behind organizational dynamics. What makes humans successful and effective at leading others? What makes businesses and organizations effective and successful and sustainable in what they do? From a values perspective, look, we do believe that these 5 areas are core to guiding how we operate, and care and responsibility for you as students is important to us. We do believe in a servant professorship philosophy. For those of you familiar with servant leadership, we are here to help shepherd you through this process, but also to learn from you too, and to continue to evolve. We think it's important to have respect for vulnerability because as coaches and practitioners and consultants and advisors to business, you're going to have to work with clients who are going to need to be psychologically safe and capable of sharing with you. And we need you to be that way with us and with your cohort of student colleagues. And so that's important that we create a safe space for you to learn, to fail, to make mistakes, and continue to grow. We want you to be curious because learning isn't just about in the classroom or in our case on the Zoom, right? Learning is going to take place in practice when you're out there in the field, when you're with other colleagues. So it's going to be important for you to continue to be curious and bring back to the program as much as you get from it. We believe in collaboration. We're going to be launching this and every year as a cohort group, which is part of what our immersion and fundamentals program and class is about. We want you to be part of that. We believe in unconventional partnerships. We have so far a lot of our admitted students to this program come from a wide diversity of backgrounds. And that's very exciting to us because we want to make sure that we're industry agnostic. You can be coaches in the nonprofit world, you can be consultants in corporate and business, you could be coaching small family-owned companies, you could be working in government, right? So we want to make sure that we partner with as many different types of industries and organizations as possible so you get that exposure. Something that sets us apart. So as you notice, this is a degree in executive coaching and organizational consulting. These are two areas that I've spent 15 years of my career on my own doing both and working in both, which has been certainly very important for us. And so from the coaching perspective, it's about developing leader effectiveness. And when I say in a VUCA environment, for those of you not familiar with the term, it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Right now with the pandemic, layered on top of that with the civil rights protests going on and the demonstrations, it's a complicated environment. And you as coaches need to be trained and prepared to help leaders navigate that and build their capacity, communicate better, touch people better, listen to them better, understand them better, right? And instill that growth mindset. So the executive coaching side is really training you for those intimate, deep dive, one-on-one developmental interventions, whereas the consulting side is really more about the structure, the culture, the strategy of the business, the context that we operate in as individuals and as leaders, and developing the right strategy, developing the right approach to being more inclusive and how you bring people together as a team, how you listen and understand it to the group, right, to the team. So it's coaching and consulting, which are two important elements that you will find when you're out there as practitioners, if you haven't experienced this already. Another thing that sets us apart is we're NYU. We are a known brand. We're a world-class university. We do have premier connections in the business community, and I could talk more about that later. We do want to take a deep dive, and I'll get into more about how that separates us from certificate programs. But again, we are going to be providing you with core foundations in science and research around personality, around motivation, around human development, right? It's important that you have that evidence-based practice, that you understand social science methodology, not only for conducting your own research, but also developing strategies for intervening and working with businesses and individual leaders. Unparalleled student experience. Look, again, back in the social era of humanity, when we could actually get everyone to congregate in Manhattan, we do believe that is a great differentiator. I do believe you all will still get that opportunity at some point. It may not be in the fall where we can be all together in large groups, but being located in Manhattan is incredible, right? Because we are just steps away from the major businesses and industries that operate in the coaching and consulting world, and we do have close connections with them. Just as one example, on our advisory board, we have the head of the Coach Center for Excellence for JP Morgan Chase. We have the head of Google's Leader Development and Coaching division. We have folks who are formerly with McKinsey and Company. So we do have individuals who really are connected to business and industry. And we will be bringing in a lot of guest speakers, because what's important is not that you just hear from me, from our core faculty, or even from our adjuncts, but you hear from those who are actually out there doing the work currently and leading the charge in how we go about evolving the coaching consulting industry. So we'll make sure we expose you to those individuals. I get asked this question a lot. So why a master's degree versus a certificate degree, a certificate from a private program or even from a university program? So one thing I will tell you, we do offer a certificate program at NYU. We just relaunched it and revamped it. We've had it for more than 10 years. It is an excellent program. And it's something that if a master's degree is not where you want to go, our certificate program, I think, is an excellent option to get those skills and training. What differentiates a master's degree is, first and foremost, it is an emphasis on the science of human behavior. We will be focused on current research and thought leadership. We are not model specific. We're going to talk about all the different models and approaches out there when it comes to developing yourself as a coach and as a consultant. Evidence-based practice is critical to us. So the kind of practices we're going to expose you to have been researched, have been investigated, and published about in peer-reviewed journals. So they're not something that a marketer just made up. We do have PhD full-time faculty. So we are all PhD trained in various disciplines around psychology, organizational behavior, and business. We do have tremendous connections to industry, as I mentioned. Certificate programs tend to be a little more model specific and tactically focused on giving you specific sets of skills to go out and do. They are primarily taught by part-time faculty, typically not PhD faculty. But again, that's not to knock certificate programs. I think they are a great option if a commitment to a master's is not where you are. And certainly we have a great one at NYU. We also have great partnerships in the industry. So just actually the last conference I attended before going into quarantine was on March 2nd in New York City, in downtown Manhattan at our Washington Square campus at the Kimmel Center. So we have a relationship with the International Coach Federation proper, but also with the ICF's local New York chapter, which is the largest US chapter. Every year we partner with them on a conference. This past year, we actually focused on diversity and inclusion in coaching, where we had Nelly Barrero, who is Accenture's head of global diversity and inclusion. She came and spoke about her experiences with coaches and now leading coaches within Accenture. So it was a wonderful event. We had over 200 folks come, and we weren't shaking hands. We were doing the kind of elbow bump back when that was the thing before we all decided to scatter to our own homes in quarantine. But that is something that we offer and we will be doing again next year, probably in the summer. And it's a great way for you as students to come and mingle with other coaches. Because like I said, we had over 200 attendees, most of whom were professional executive coaches, some consultants, and also HR practitioners. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of the program, we are a comprehensive 12-course, 30-credit accelerated program. So it can be done either full-time over the course of 3 semesters, really a 1-year program, or it can be done at a part-time pace, typically about a 2.5-year paced program. It depends on what makes sense for you. Our classes are all at night because we are the School for Professional Studies, and we are geared towards working professionals, and most of our students will be working professionals. Again, we are cohort-based. Part of our philosophy is to make sure that you learn from each other, rely on each other, and work with each other as a student cohort. Again, we do offer online and in person. We will likely be more online focused, certainly in the fall. This is just a sample, and we have this on the site, and you can always get this from us just of how the progression would look from a full-time perspective. Most folks probably are looking at more of a part-time perspective, where we'd have you doing immersion, which is a 5-day gathering of everybody. This semester, we may do that a little more virtually. It may look a little bit different than how we have it scheduled based on what the university and the governor decides in the fall. So we still have some time on that. But that will be running, and science of behavior and change will be also running in the fall. And that will be likely offered online specifically. Then we have coaching practices, coaching mastery, research, business communications, and strategy. So another question I get asked about all the time is, what do I do from here? So I come here and I get this great education. Where do I go? Primarily, this is an academic degree to prepare you to be a professional executive coach or organizational consultant in business, right? But I will never tell you what you should do with your degree or where you should take it or where you want to apply it. That is solely up to you. But what I can tell you, typically speaking, our students will likely be working in leadership development as management consultants, as professional executive coaches, either on their own, internally, or for a coach consulting firm. A number of our folks are interested in going back into the HR profession as an HR leader, or even working in executive management, applying these skills as a coach leader to better lead teams. But at the core, when I speak to candidates as well as our incoming students one-on-one, what I find is everyone has a passion for human development and developing human talent in some way, shape, or form. And that's really where you'll apply this, right? Is to the development of leaders across industry, across business, and hopefully across the world. So with all that said, what I want to do is turn it over to our Assistant Director for Graduate Programs, Nicole Howe, who is going to talk to you a little bit about student experience. So over to you, Nicole.
All right. Thank you so much, Woody. As Woody noted, I am the Assistant Director for Human Capital Management Programs here at SPS. I am also a former advisor and a recent alum. So I know quite a bit about the student experience, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have after you see the presentation. Just enter them in the chat and we'll get to them later. So I know from professional and personal experience that when you join the NYU community, you're really unlocking access to a lot of resources and opportunities. And for the sake of the presentation, for the sake of brevity, we're only going to highlight a few of those things, but like I said, I'm happy to answer questions at the end. So before we jump into the fun stuff, we did want to highlight NYU's response to COVID-19. Like Woody said, the transition was fairly seamless because we are already set up in a lot of ways for remote learning and remote services. And it was really important to ensure that continuity, that sort of high touch experience with our students going forward, especially given the pandemic. So first, we're proud to offer a really engaging academic experience with small class sizes, online instruction, and digital learning platforms. We also offer virtual one-on-one and group advising sessions. Woody mentioned earlier that we have a dedicated advisor. His name is Corey Faraday. He's really fantastic. We have a really dynamic team of advisors, and they're available to students virtually, both for current and prospective students. So if after this presentation you wanted to connect with an advisor, we'd be happy to do that. And then once you're admitted, you're assigned to Corey, and he'll be your guide basically from beginning to end of your program. The Office of Global Services is sort of our main center for international students to get support with visas, travel, and work authorization. They're offering virtual appointments during this time as well. Students also have access to a vast array of NYU, the library resources that are online, and that includes live research support and skill building workshops. NYU is also very committed to the health and wellness of students. So during this time, the Student Health Center remains open. The Wellness Exchange is fully operational. That is our 24-hour mental health resource. And we've been getting regular updates from university leadership and the Health Center. They've been really great about sharing updates on their response and recommendations for students' mental and physical health. Next slide. All right. So the student experience is enriched by internships, study abroad opportunities, student groups, and robust career wellness resources, which is something my colleague Stephanie will talk about in more detail. And this photo is actually from our Global Field Intensive from January. We brought a group of about 15 students to Abu Dhabi to learn about international HR. And we just heard nothing but really positive feedback. So that's great, and it's something that we'd like to continue. Coaching students would be invited to that as well. So one of the ways you can get involved as a student is by joining the SHRM student chapter. SHRM stands for the Society for Human Resources Management, and that is an international organization, but we have a student chapter here at NYU, and we're incredibly proud of our chapter because they are literally award-winning. They've won the Merit Award for the last 5 years because of their really robust programming, mostly focused on networking and professional development. So it's a great way to make connections with other students in the human capital management space. And you can really sustain that, not just at NYU, but beyond, because the NYU chapter has relationships with the NYC chapter, the regional chapter of SHRM, as well as the international chapter more broadly. We also offer a lot of tailored events for our students. So the event on the left is the Digital Transformation Case Competition. Last year's theme was digital transformation, but the theme does change every year. And students are invited to form cross-functional teams and respond to a case question before a panel of industry judges. So this time around it was Adobe and Pfizer, and the winning team not only was awarded a monetary prize, but they were also given entry to the annual Adobe Summit. So it was very exciting for our students, and that's the winning team there in the photo. On the right side is the annual event that Woody mentioned previously. We partner with the International Coach Federation to plan a conference every spring. And this year's theme was diversity and inclusion, which, as we know, is more relevant now than ever. Next slide. We're also very much plugged into industry. We're really excited to offer students experiential learning opportunities. And these are just a few examples. These are all site visits through courses that we run here in our department. So here you can see a visit to AB InBev, Cognizant, WeWork, and Horizon Media. But these are just a few of the many opportunities our students have through our classes. Next slide. All right, and last but not least, this is a really innovative and unique offering we have here at NYU. The Entrepreneurship Institute runs the Leslie eLab, which is basically a one-stop shop for all your startup needs. It's open to anyone and everyone at the university, and they have co-working spaces, meeting rooms, event spaces, and a prototyping lab. It's really the place to go if you have an idea that you want to bring to fruition. For example, if you're a coach and you want to start your own coaching practice, this is where you would go for all the resources you need. They also run competitions throughout the year for funding and a summer launchpad program to get businesses off the ground. So it's a really great opportunity that we always encourage our students to take advantage of. And with that, I will turn it over to Stephanie, who will speak about the Wasserman Center.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining the info session today. We're really excited to have this chance to talk with you. And I just got to re-emphasize everything that Nicole just mentioned. Our local chapter of SHRM and the Leslie eLab are absolutely incredible resources. So I would really recommend looking into those. But for now, I want to talk to you about our center. So I'm with the Wasserman Center for Career Development. One of the amazing things for the School of Professional Studies is we actually have our own standalone career development center. And there's about 9 of us on that team. And quite a few of us, 3 of us, are actually ICF trained career advisors and coaches. So thanks, Woody, for going to the next slide. So we will work with you on every piece of your career development path, whether you're looking for a job or, as Nicole mentioned, thinking about maybe starting your own business. Anything that you kind of need to talk about in regards to your career, we're there to work with you. So if you look at this slide on the right side of the slide, we'll work with you through all of those phases of that wheel. We really will do quite a bit of work with you on self-assessment. We have 4 different self-assessment tools, including StrengthsFinder, MBTI, Print, Strong, that we use on a really regular basis with our students to help you figure out the path that you want to follow. We'll work with you on the market assessment, figuring out what your industry of interest looks like and what you can pursue in that industry, and so on, but everything in that area. And then one of our favorite things to work with you on is that bit in the middle, the relationship building bit. So really helping you to build your networks with your fellow students, with faculty, with alumni, and beyond. And just a few of the resources listed on the left-hand side that I'll touch on is Handshake. That is a career resource that we have available that has job postings, events, various resources that we've created, but it's kind of a one-stop resource for career development. As both Nicole and Woody have already mentioned, we've pretty much gone entirely virtual since March. So at the moment, we are doing 30-minute and 15-minute career advising appointments, all virtual, but we really hope one of these days we'll see you guys in person again. I touched on the self-assessment tools and the online resources. And then on the workshops, we do workshops pretty much 2-3 times a week that you can view. And it's everything from, basic resume resume cover letter workshops all the way to, you're doing an assessment of your strengths profile. So good on this slide, Woody. And here's just a sampling of some of the internships that have been done previously by students in this division. And next one. This is just some numbers for our human capital management program as a whole, which is 3 different programs. There was a 96.6% full-time employment rate within 6 months of graduation in 2018. And then you'll see on the right-hand side that over half of our students had jobs before they graduated. So we're really, really proud of these numbers. And next one. And then just in closing, this is just some of the employers that we work with very regularly and who really regularly, again, hire students from this division. And so we just wanted to kind of give you an overview of some of the companies that are very interested in you guys. So, and I'm going to stay on. So just like Nicole, if you have any questions for me, I'm here during the Q&A at the end. Thanks.
All right, Ashley.
All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ashley Sinha, and I'm the Senior Admissions Officer at NYU School of Professional Studies. And I'm going to walk you through our graduate application requirements, our deadlines, how to apply for scholarships, financial aid, etc. So first, let's look at the deadlines. You'll note that this program only offers enrollment for the fall semester, which starts in September. The priority deadline is January 15th, and the final deadline is July 1st. So you do still have time to apply. Also, I would like to note that we are waiving the application fee for the next few days. So until June 15th, this application fee will be waived. So if you submit your application between now and then, you will not be prompted to pay a fee. All right, so now let's talk about what is required to submit an application for our graduate programs. So we require the online application to be completed, and you can do that at sps.nyu.edu. And I just mentioned about the application fee, how that is waived for right now. You have to submit a detailed resume, and reviewing your resume allows the admissions committee to gain a better understanding of you as a person and your professional, extracurricular, and your volunteer experiences, which you participated in, that have shaped you as a person and as a prospective student. The accomplishments and responsibilities highlighted on your resume also serve as an invaluable demonstration of your motivation, maturity, and focus. You have to submit a personnel statement with a minimum of 500 words. And this helps the admissions committee to gain a better understanding of you as a person and as a prospective student. It provides evidence of achievements that may not be reflected on other parts of your application, and it presents the professional and life events that have influenced your decision to apply to graduate school. You have to submit 2 letters of recommendation, and these can be from either an academic or professional reference who can speak to your work ethic, your character, and your potential for success in graduate school. And we don't have a preference on which you choose. If you've been out of school for a number of years, then 2 professional references is fine. Or if you stayed in touch with one of your academic advisors or professor, you're more than welcome to submit that as well. It's up to you. You have to submit your official college transcripts. We require official transcripts from each college or university that you've attended. The Office of Admissions will review your applications if you provide unofficial copies of your transcripts. However, if you are admitted, you must submit those official documents so that you can enroll in classes. And the following requirements with the asterisks next to them are for international applicants only. You must submit an official evaluation of your foreign credentials, and we require that your international transcripts be evaluated for equivalency to the U.S. education system for admission purposes. You have to submit the TOEFL or IELTS scores. This is required for applicants who do not complete their undergraduate degree in the United States or in a country where the only primary language of instruction is English. The minimum recommended score is an 8.0 or higher on the IELTS and a 110 or higher on the TOEFL. Applicants who do not meet these minimums will be required to participate in the Pearson's VEPT exam after you submit your application. So it's not something you have to worry about at this moment until you've submitted. So now let's explore some financial aid and scholarship opportunities for domestic applicants. So listed on this page, we have online scholarship resources, federal loans, private loans, and NYU scholarships. For the federal loans, you will have to submit a FAFSA to see if you are eligible. And from there, you can choose from a Stafford unsubsidized loan or a Direct Plus loan. So depending on your own personal needs would depend on which loan you would apply for. So I do recommend researching both of these options before choosing. For private loans, please contact a U.S. bank or lender to complete, and NYU does not have preferred lenders, nor can we assist in completing the private loan application. For scholarships, we have the NYU School Professional Studies Grant up to $5,000 per academic year, and the Dean Scholars Program, which is $10,000 per academic year, and this is available for both domestic and international applicants. So now financial aid resources for international students. There are many independent organizations that are dedicated to finding and compiling scholarships for international students who seek to study in the United States. And this is just a short list of these organizations. I do recommend going to our website and navigating to the scholarship page for more information and a detailed list of some of these organizations. All right, so we also offer NYU payment plans. So there is the tuition pay plan, which allows all or a portion of your educational expenses to be paid in interest-free monthly installments. The deferred payment plan allows you to defer 50% of your bill that would be, defer payment of 50% of your bill to a later date. And this is open to students registered for a minimum of 6 credits per semester. And the NYU School Professional Studies Deferred Tuition Reimbursement Payment Plan. That's a mouthful. This allows students with employer tuition reimbursement to defer payment of the portion of their bill that will be reimbursed at the end of the term.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it. So as we mentioned, we wanted to save some time if there are any questions, and I don't know if you guys have been tracking any questions here. Take a quick look at chat as well.
It looks like we have some questions about admissions. Specifically the GRE. We don't require the GRE for any of our programs. That is not a requirement, so that's not something that you need to worry about.
Let's see. So, and the other thing I want to make sure to do, I will put my email in here. Let me do that right now. So anyone who wants to email me directly. Hold on. Make sure it goes out to everybody. Come on. Okay, so that's on there. So someone asked who would be a good fit for this program in terms of professional background. So what I can tell you is, first and foremost, I think experience in working with others, right, is probably helpful. But I have right now, just off the top of my head, folks that I've spoken to, background in the fashion industry, background in human resources, background in learning and development, a former attorney, and trying to think of someone who worked in higher education, actually several people who worked in higher education. So just like coaching, right, you can have a variety of different backgrounds and work experiences. And there's the likelihood that you may want to even go back into those industries, but as a coach and consultant versus being in the role that you formerly held. I also have, I spoke to someone recently, a student we admitted to, her background is in public relations and crisis management. And so she now wants to coach in that space as opposed to being like a PR professional. So it really can be a variety of backgrounds, but I'm always happy to talk to anybody one-on-one. Feel free to email me if you want to ask more about, how your fit and your background would be a good match for the program and what you would do moving forward. Let's see. Be a good fit. Someone asked about making an appointment with an advisor. So that would be Corey. Again, if you want to email me, I could direct you to Corey. No problem with doing that. Just email me and say you'd like to speak to Corey about how the program works and other opportunities.
And Woody, sorry, there was a private question that I got about when admitted students can start seeing career advisors, and you guys will get information about that about a month prior to the start of your program, and then you can book an appointment with us through that resource that I mentioned called Handshake.
Great. Like I said, we have a lot of fantastic resources. I mean, Stephanie and her team to help you figure out, where to take your career and how to best apply your skills. We have on the front end, obviously, Ashley and the admissions team, who are always willing to help you answer any questions. And please don't hesitate to reach out to admissions. Let's see, I think I see another one here. Where are the in-person, what would be the in-person class sizes? I believe this is going to be interesting because that may change based on the guidelines, particularly CDC guidelines, as well as the New York State guidelines. So it's hard to answer that question right now, but what I would say is I know that we have a cap of 25, I believe, for in-person classroom classes. And online, I believe the cap is 20. My experience has been, just personally, the last class I taught had 11 students, and the one I taught before that had 9 students. So our class sizes are usually fairly small. If you already have a master's degree, are any credits transferable? So I can tell you about a third of the students we've admitted so far actually have master's degrees, a variety of master's degrees. So look, you're coming here for our program. And so in order to get a degree from this program, you do have to complete 30 credits of NYU courses. Now, that said, there may be courses that you could possibly substitute and take an elective instead of a particular core course. But that's something that first I'd want you to talk to Corey in advising about, and then I would have to take a look at what those courses are. Like I said, we have a variety of folks with master's degrees, but remember, our courses are pretty proprietary and very much focus on skills and practices within coaching and consulting. So we are a pretty unique program. Let's see, any other questions? Any I missed, guys?
I received a private question. I think it would help people. So someone who wants to take advantage of the application fee waiver that's available until 6/15, but she's missing one of her transcripts and wants to know if she can submit her application now without that transcript. And the answer is yes. You can submit your application without it being entirely complete. So if you are missing your transcripts or your letters of recommendation, you can submit your application. And then after, we will send you instructions on how to submit that transcript to us electronically, because we are operating entirely remotely, so we can only accept documents electronically.
I have a question. It might be a little bit more specific, but have you seen anybody, or this program sounds like it's new, so could you see anybody going into this program and ending up going more so into like career development, career counseling, instead of going into more so the corporate world?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, it would be entirely up to you. It would depend on what you're thinking. I mean, Stephanie probably knows more about that arena than I do, to be quite frank. But yeah, I mean, the emphasis is on executive coaching. So just to be clear, and it is focused. There are some great certificate programs out there that ICF has sanctioned in the counseling, advising, and career coaching fields, without doubt. but our focus is definitely more on that business side. But that said, these are skills that you can apply in a variety of different arenas, right? The core skill sets are going to be very similar. The one thing I will tell you, look, one of the foundational courses is in the science of behavior and change, and understanding human motivation, understanding personality differences, understanding how people are motivated, understanding the underpinnings of how change works in humans and individuals as well as in groups are really important, right? In any type of coaching engagement and any type of consulting engagement. And I would say our practices will more emphasize working with people in leadership roles, not necessarily business per se. So I spent 5 years of my career as a government consultant working with various different federal agencies in DC. So the context was different, was the skill set. For me at the time as a coach and organizational psychologist, it was the same. I had to learn the industry as I had, now I've done a lot of work in food manufacturing and a lot of work in the spirits industry and other areas. So, but Stephanie may have some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so there is actually at least one of the career advisors on the NYU career development team who's already applied to this program. And we have a huge amount of respect for this curriculum, particularly because there's such a close connection between this team and the International Coach Federation, which is really the certification that most career advisors have. So, yeah, I would say there's definitely going to be a connection from what I see. But Woody, you know best.
Okay, thank you.
Someone asked, are there any specific course prerequisites? No. What I will say is that once you're in the program, there is a succession of courses that will be important to follow. But otherwise, no, there are no prerequisites.
And how competitive do you see the admissions process and everything? All that.
I'll throw that to Ashley.
Yeah. So the admissions committee takes a holistic approach to reviewing applications. So everything that I listed in the application requirements, they really do look at each individual aspect when reviewing, and you're not just looking at like your overall GPA. We're looking at trends over time. We're looking at maybe some supplemental work experience that you've had, and how you explain your goals and wrap it all together in your competitiveness. It's more individual in that respect, and how you think and how you would benefit from the program, and what you would get out of it in a sense.
So you're going to see if there are any more questions.
Woody, I just got a question about whether there's a fall and a spring intake for the program. And sorry, I actually don't know the answer to this.
We are only a fall intake. So it's designed as a cohort program, and also for the purpose of the succession of classes. We can't offer the same classes every semester, so you have to follow a certain succession. And in the fall, every fall is the immersion, which is where, again, this year is probably going to be a little bit different, but our intent with the immersion is to get everybody together to get to know each other, because we're going to be working together as students, either in groups of 2 sometimes or on teams. And we're also going to be doing visits with guest speakers and with coaching and consulting firms. Originally around Manhattan, but probably around the world now that we may do some of it on Zoom. So.
It's Eve. Are there any projects in the program that could be maybe used as a like hands-on experience that could be actually used in the resume if actual experience? Because I'm afraid that, when you look for a consultant job, like no one wants to hire without actual consulting experience, right? Something, and then it's like a circle, right? And then like you never can get experience.
Right. Yeah. It's like a chicken and egg thing. Yes. So the capstone part, the capstone thesis, which is sort of it's in the summer. That's done in the summer. So that's sort of the end of the program, right? That's your final projects. And the idea there, and one thing on all of my one-on-ones with students, what I've said is what we're looking for is an applied project. So you will be required to do an applied research project as part of your capstone to graduate. And what we'll be asking is either students, if you are currently employed or you're working, or you have a past employer where you can actually work with them on a project where it's an actual applied project and you're doing it for credit, we would highly encourage that. Just yesterday, myself and our academic director were on a call with one of our partners discussing, so we're developing partnerships, as I mentioned, discussing how we can have students embedded within their organization working on research projects that are actually applied projects. So in other words, it's something that's going to be put into practice in a business. We have a great relationship with Bravely. They're an online coaching app. So if any of you are familiar with an employee assistance program, which is sort of like that hotline where you call if you have personal mental health or even personal challenges or issues at home or at work. So they're sort of like, I call it an EAP light. It's more like if you're having conflict with a colleague, or you got a bad review from your boss, or you're thinking about going up for a promotion, what you would do is basically you get on their app and you sign in, and they triage and based on some questions, they put you to a coach. And it's done like sort of FaceTime on through the app, and that coach helps you work through it. So they're a pretty new company, and it's a pretty cool new concept. So we're looking at getting our students some experience working with them on some some research behind how it's going and some of the data they're collecting. So that's just one. We are looking at projects probably with the ICF as well, because we think there's great opportunity to work with them, and we're developing a good relationship with ICF. It is important to know that we are going to be in the process of getting accredited because we are a new program. And our certificate program was built to be perfectly aligned with how ICF accredits. They've never accredited a master's program before. This is new territory for them. So we are working hand in hand with them to make sure that we are aligned with what their requirements are. Sorry, just as a little bit of an aside there, if that helps. But yes, this is an applied program. And so we are grounded in research and evidence-based practice and theory because that's important as a platform. But the idea is you are to learn that so that you can go out and apply and do it. And in our coaching practices course and our coaching mastery courses, as well as consulting practices and consulting mastery, we're going to give you that applied experience. Let's see, I see another question here. You want to be hybrid between online and in-person. How would this work? So you can take an online class in a given semester, or you can decide to do in-person once we're back to in-person, and whatever that looks like, I can't predict. You can't switch back and forth. Like if we have an online offering and an in-person offering, you can't go online one week and in-person the next week. That we can't do because you'll be working on group and team projects. But can you take online courses, and then when we get back to having in-person courses, can you make the decision, hey, I'd rather go in person next semester? Yes. Trying to see, any other questions? We're bumping up on 1 o'clock. So again, I put my email in there. Feel free to send me a note if you have questions or want me to connect you to anybody else. I'm happy to do that. And otherwise, taking a look, if I need to hop off. All right, all right. Again, thank you all. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we certainly appreciate your interest. And please feel free to email me with any questions, or if you need me to connect you to anyone else who is on this Zoom, I'm happy to do it. So with that, good luck, be well, and stay safe.